Right. Let everybody kind of trickle in here. Let me know if you can hear me. Awesome. Okay. Make sure we've got the recording going. We do. I think it recorded me testing my audio, and I always do like a little singing thing, and I'm like, there's going to be my singing ditty here at the beginning. All right, we'll wait just another minute here. Everyone get ready. I can see some of you are still trying to connect audio and stuff, so I just want to make sure we get that all worked out so you can hear me. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. The audio isn't connected yet, still on Lexi, it looks like. If you need help, feel free and head to the chat. There's a button below. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just want to make sure you're able to hear. Looks like we're all connected. Awesome. Okay. Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you here in the Mastering Emotion Challenge. We are going to be doing a call today. It'll be probably about 30, 40 minutes or so, depending on kind of the questions and the involvement we get. I want you to feel really open to answer any questions, to participate as much as you want. One of the great things about this is being able to see that you're not the only one who has these emotions, right? So sharing your stories, sharing your experiences is going to be super valuable. I believe that everyone who is here for your own personal experience as well as everyone else's. So understand that this is a safe space that you're allowed to share, be open. I'm going to be asking you questions. I love to get your feedback in. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the call, a little bit of housekeeping for the challenge in general. You should have gotten an email, and in that email, it goes over the call schedule. We'll have one every day of the challenge, except I take a break on Sunday. So today we'll have one, tomorrow, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. And then those calls are usually at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or 4 p.m. You can look at the schedule. I'll also be sending out an email the day before so you have an idea of that. And then there is a Facebook group that you can come and join, the Strong Mother Collective. That's my Facebook group in general. I typically work with moms, hence the Strong Mother, but all women are welcome. You'll feel at home there. That's where we'll be doing the ongoing support throughout the challenge as well. So you can access the replays there. Feel free to post your questions, answers to the journal prompts, connect with one another. That'll be a really great space as well. And the link for that should also be in the main welcome email that you got. If you haven't gotten it, feel free to reach out to me. You can do that on social media, Instagram, Facebook, or you're always welcome to email me, makinghomesahaven@gmail.com. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started. So I love to start a lot of the work that I do with just helping us all get present, get focused on the moment. So I'm going to lead us through a little meditation. If you've never done meditation or breath work before, feel free to just watch. If you don't feel comfortable joining in, you'll benefit just by listening as well. So go ahead and find a comfortable spot to sit. We're going to take some deep breaths in. Close your eyes. If you feel comfortable, feel free to keep them open if you'd rather. We're going to take some deep breaths in. And sorry, I forgot that. Deep breath in. And hold it. Hold it. Let it out. And another deep breath in. Hold it. Hold it. And breathing out. And one more deep breath in. And this time, as you hold it, I want you to become really aware of where you are. Feel your bottom on the chair or the ground. Feel the air around you. Just become really aware of where you are and what you're touching. If you haven't, go ahead and release that breath out. All right, and as we sit here, I want you to imagine a bright light in front of you. You can imagine a ball, a star, whatever shape feels comfortable. I want you to see it growing, getting larger and larger. It's a warm light, it's comforting, not too intense, not too bright. It's inviting and friendly. And I want you to imagine as this light grows, it gets closer to you until you're standing inside it. And it's enveloping you, surrounding you. I want you to feel the warmth of it on you. That love, that peace, that joy. I want you to just sit here for a minute and bask in it. Think of your favorite relaxing place you like to visit. Maybe it's the beach. Maybe it's cozy in your bed. Imagine that you're there and you feel this light surrounding you. And as you get present, I want you to set an intention. What is the main goal you're wanting to get out of this challenge? I want you to focus your attention on that. Think about it. And then go ahead, open your eyes, and feel free to share in the chat. What is your intention? What are you hoping to get out of this? Why did you join? What intrigued you? Give you a moment to go ahead and share those. Oh, I should make sure the chat's pulled up on my thing. Make sure too, if you're using the chat, it's selected to everyone so that everyone can see your comment. If you want, you can message me just specifically, but feel free to message everyone too. Okay, awesome. So Rachel, I just want to get better at feeling my feelings and recognizing them. Awesome. That is a great one. And in fact, that is actually where we're going to start off. I want to see how many emotions can you name. This, you're welcome to share if you want, but just take a minute and think through that. What comes to mind when I say listing them? If you have a pen and paper, this is a good time to write those down. Just start to get a brainstorm going. I'm gonna, actually, let's put a little music on. We'll give you just a minute here to kind of think of as many emotions as you can. Oh, shoot. Okay, sorry about that. Music doesn't want to play that ad, so we'll just go ahead and let you think in quiet. Okay, so the question is, we have had two questions so far. So the first one was, what was your intention for this challenge? What do you want to get out of it? why did you sign up? What interested you? And then the second one was how many emotions can you list? So that's what we're creating right now. You can do this just mentally. If you have a pen and paper, go ahead and write them down. How many emotions can you think of? I'll give you maybe another minute here to just finish up listing those. Go ahead, then we're gonna jump back in here. How many emotions were you able to come up with? There's no right or wrong, don't feel bad. The first time I did this, it was like, I don't know, maybe 5, 10, like happy, sad, like the things you see in kindergarten, with all the little faces. That was kind of my list. So 11, yep, very nice. So when we are doing this exercise, and it kind of depends on who you're looking at, how people are categorizing emotions, but there can be anywhere from 27 to over 100. And that I think is something that a lot of us are not even aware of, right? We think of the traditional happy, sad, angry, excited, frightened, and then there's different words for it, right? Frightened and scared. What's the difference? Mad and angry. What's the difference, right? And for this challenge specifically, we're not going to be focusing so much on identifying all of the emotions that are available to us as understanding why they are important. Oh no. Sorry. I went to adjust my earbud and it has like controls on it and I accidentally hit it and it started playing a random video from another window. Let me make sure those are all closed. That doesn't happen again. Okay, awesome. So back to what I was saying. We're going to be looking at the connections between our emotions is the big thing. I think there's a value in being able to name your emotions. What is this emotion? What is it? How do I feel it? And throughout the process of what we're going to be doing, you're going to gain that ability a lot better. But I find instead of me giving you a list of like, here's all the emotions, now memorize it, now start paying attention to them, it's actually more effective for us to look at the whole emotional experience and what goes on when we have an emotion. How does that start? How does it connect to our body? How does that play out in our lives? So that whole big picture is what we're going to be focusing on. And to give you an idea of that, we're going to look at how does our emotions connect towards one another. Because oftentimes I think we look at an emotion and we go, this is a singular, isolated experience, right? I am feeling sad and I can only feel sad, or I am feeling happy and I can only feel happy. And what can become confusing is we can actually have lots of different emotions at the same time, right? You're jumping around and like, I'm excited about this new opportunity at work, but I'm also kind of scared, but like, I'm also feeling nervous and like, am I capable? And it can become a little wild as we jump around through all of those emotions. So how do we keep that calm center? How do we navigate through all of these emotions? How do we create space for them? And one of the things that is really important is to first understand how we have been taught emotion. What have we been told about feeling emotion? because a lot of us actually have created these beliefs and stories around emotion, and those beliefs and stories really guide and shape our experiences with our emotions. So, how many of you have ever experienced feeling like there are good emotions and bad emotions? Or there are emotions that are desirable and that we should try to experience in our life, and other emotions that we need to get rid of, try and avoid, they're bad. Some of us have experienced the story of we are our emotions, right? That's a really big one. I feel this, and that's who I am. And that's something I want to challenge you with, is to realize that we are more than just an emotion. Whether you are religious, whether you are philosophical, whether, whatever kind of your background experience is, there is the human body, the biology of it, and all that, how it works, the chemicals and your cells. And there's also this essence, this spark, whether you call that a spirit, a soul, an intelligence. There's some other piece there that makes us distinct. And it's understanding that we are these two pieces and how they interplay between each other that really can be beneficial when we're looking at emotions. For me, I believe we have a spirit, essence, soul, whatever you want to call it, inside our human body. And that our emotions are the bridge between our thoughts, that intelligence, and our physical body. And so it's not just one or the other, yet that's how we often experience it, right? I'm mad, and it feels it, right? You can feel an emotion all throughout your body in every essence. If you were to describe the emotion anger, think about how that feels in your body. How would you describe that feeling? Tight. Yep. There's also, I've heard it described as like um, bottled up, right? Like you're trying to keep this intensity in. There's a little bit of a almost vibration, shaking sensation of just wanting to burst that out when you're angry, right? And that's usually what compels us to respond, right? We yell at someone, we lash out, we want to just release that intensity of the emotion. Now compare that to feeling sad. How would you describe feeling sad? Heavy. Yeah. Right. So it's a little bit more still. You don't have kind of that same intensity going on. It's heavy, dense, just kind of pulls you down. And how do we respond? We feel that same way, right? We move at a slower energy. We don't really have a drive to do things. We want to just kind of sit or lie down, right? Then what about the emotion of excitement? Motivation. Yeah. Lighter. Yes. Lighter is very good, right? There's this, um, similarly, you have kind of that like vibrational movement going on, right? But it's different from the anger that feels kind of trapped and like stuck. Excitement is more of a lighter, oh, let's do this, right? And just flowing, just moving this excitement. It's very upward, light is good, right? That motivation, right? It's a source of energy rather than kind of draining our energy and pulling it back. It's giving us that energy. Um, Here's a really neat exercise though. What would you say fear feels like? The sensation of fear in your body. Yep, still tight. I want you to imagine fear, withdrawal. Yep. Fear is typically lower, right? We tend to feel that more in our gut. Excitement tends to be a little bit higher up. And this can vary from person to person too, where you kind of experience it. And sometimes it's a whole body thing, right? Depending on the intensity of it. But if you imagine, I'm going to stand up for a sec. Fear is one that we often feel a lot lower down here. It's that tight, like, I'm not quite sure. There's a little bit more of that, yes, closing in sensation. Oh, good. Got another one joining us. Welcome. We're just talking about emotion right now. Specifically, we've been listing different emotions and what the sensation in our body feels like. So welcome, Lisa. So fear, it's tight. It's like down here, like, I'm not quite so sure about this, right? And if you actually pay attention to your body and the sensation, you'll notice fear is actually very similar to excitement. Think of like a piano though, and different octaves. It's just a lower intensity version of it. Whereas excitement is this, I'm so excited. It's open, but it's that same C sharp, if you will, right? Just a lighter version of it, an open version. Whereas fear is like the lower closed version of it. And if you want, you can actually practice moving from fear to anticipation, or sorry, apprehension, fear, apprehension, anticipation, excitement. And as you imagine each one of those emotions, so fear, oh, I don't know that I can do this. Let's imagine you're interviewing for a job, right? Oh, I'm so nervous about this job. What am I going to do? I don't know that they're going to like me. Am I going to be able to answer the questions? I really need this. I got to help my family, right? Then if we move instead to a feeling of apprehension, it's a little lighter, right? There's still kind of that, still kind of that tight feeling, but I'm not quite as nervous, but still a little bit, I'm anxious, right? Then we move a little bit higher, and now we're not so focused on apprehension as we're starting to flip it to anticipation. And now I'm anticipating, oh, okay. I'm anticipating that I'm going to have this interview. I'm anticipating that, they're going to ask me questions and that I'll be able to answer them. And do you see how it's starting to get lighter? It's starting to shift. It's starting to get a little more positive. And we can move it up one more step to excitement. I'm excited for this interview. I can't wait. I'm going to do really awesome. I can't imagine what questions they're going to ask me. I'm going to be able to answer them really well. I feel so confident. Right? There's these different scales to all of our emotions, and recognizing that is a really powerful tool that we can use to help shift us from one emotion to another. Now, why would we want to shift us? This gets back to the importance of what is emotion and how does it show up in our lives. So a lot of you may be familiar with thought work, mindset work, affirmations, maybe the Life Coach School, and Brooke Castillo teaches a method called the model, which essentially says when we have in our lives circumstances, right? Something happens. They're neutral, it snows. My sister-in-law makes a comment. My son throws a temper tantrum, right? That's something that happens. I lose a job, right? Then we have a thought about that circumstance. So we think it's bad that I lost my job. I'm frustrated that my son's throwing a temper tantrum, right? That thought then leads us to an emotion. And that emotion is based off of the thought, right? So we can lose the job, have the thought, oh no, this is bad. What am I going to do for my family? We start feeling that fear, right? We have our son throw a temper tantrum. We have the thought, oh no, I'm so frustrated. I just need a minute to myself, right? That's going to build up this negative emotion in us. Alternatively, we could have a different thought. Man, I'm actually really excited. I didn't like this job very much. This is going to be a new adventure for me, open new possibilities. That creates this different emotion of, instead of fear, we're up a little higher, we're more in anticipation. What's going to be happening instead? Same with my son threw a temper tantrum, right? It's hard being 3. Like, I know he's having a rough day. I'm just going to let him and comfort him and, deal with it a little bit better. That's going to create a more positive emotion in us. And those emotions, as we kind of were mentioned earlier when we were talking about excitement and how that leads us to motivation, whereas sadness kind of shuts us down and we want to be still, those emotions give us the energy, the drive for every action we take. If we have the thought, this is a new opportunity for me, I'm going to embrace this job loss as a positive experience, then that creates a more positive emotion of anticipation. And we're going to be more likely to start doing things in order to discover what that new adventure is going to look like, whether that's job applications, whether that's looking into additional training, or maybe we want to change other things in our lives, move somewhere, explore a new hobby, whatever, how you want to use that time, versus the energy that comes from the emotion of, this is a horrible thing. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. That fear contraction emotion shuts us down and makes it a lot harder to then get the motivation, get the energy, get the drive to go out and apply for jobs, to go on interviews, to explore new training opportunities, right? Because we're so shut down, we don't want to do any of that, right? So we have a circumstance, we then have a thought about that circumstance. That thought causes an emotion. Those emotions lead us to an action, and depending on the action we take, we get a specific result. Now, the cool thing I love about Brooke Castillo and her model is she teaches that the result always proves the thought correct. So if I have the thought, oh no, this job loss is terrible, horrible, I then trigger negative emotion. That negative emotion then leads me to inaction and to shut down. And what happens? It's probably going to be terrible. I'm not going to be making money. I'm not going to be in a good situation. I'm not going to be showing up well on job interviews because I'm so nervous, so anxious. I can't perform well. I can't show up. It's going to be harder for me to get hired, right? But then we go on the flip side. I have a circumstance, exact same, job loss. I have a thought about that circumstance. And that thought, now we're going to pick a different thought. This is a new adventure. I didn't really like it here anyways. I'm excited for the new possibilities that unfold. That positive emotion drives positive action. So now we're applying, we're looking at new things, we're looking for the new opportunities, we're showing up better at the interviews, we're more likely to get a job, we're more likely to view the situation as positively. That result ends up proving the thought correct, which is really cool. So understanding this is a really powerful tool, right? We can see how our thoughts have this influence on our experience in the world. What I see happen though with a lot of people is they go, oh, this is cool. I can avoid negative emotion by simply changing my thoughts. Great. I don't ever have to deal with these negative emotions. Here's the problem when that happens. There are some things in life that we want to experience as negative, right? We can go to extremes and say, murder, rape, those are not things we want to be having positive emotions about, right? A lot of us hopefully are not experiencing those on a day-to-day basis though. So it's easier to be like, yeah, but the things in my life, I want to think positively about them. Well, maybe you still want to think that the way that person treated you was bad and you should have a negative emotional response to that, right? So that's one thing that can happen. Another experience that can happen is we get caught up in trying to, sorry, I just had an alert pop up from Zoom, so I got distracted reading it. So the other thing that can happen is we're trying so hard to not feel this negative emotion, right? I need to think a positive thought. I need to view this, be optimistic so I can change this, so I can whatever. Well, that negative thought or negative emotion still may happen, right? And whether that happens initially, right? There's a job loss, we're told, and we're like, oh man, I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. That negative emotion has been created. It's in your body. We then try and go, oh, wait, rewind. I don't want to experience that. I'm trying to think a positive thought. I'm trying to override that initial experience that I had. And what happens when we try to override it is we just end up burying it, and it gets stuck inside, right? And so it's why it can feel really hard to be optimistic sometimes, right? Because it's like trying to hold a ball underneath the water. You're trying to keep it down. I'm staying optimistic, but you have this negative emotion that's pushing up and wants to be expressed, wants to be acknowledged, right? And so learning to allow for that negative emotion and then saying, do I want to continue feeling this or do I want to choose something else? That's the key part, because we don't have to be stuck in one emotional experience. We can have an emotion, feel it, have a new thought, and change it. Keep feeling it. Maybe we're not done processing it. We want to keep feeling that. There's no right or wrong about that. We get to have the experience and decision we want. So that's part of what we're going to be exploring throughout. Oh, looks like we got another one coming in. Hey, Karen, welcome. We are actually going to be wrapping up here in the next 10 minutes or so, but I'll have the replay for those of you who came in late put up in the Facebook group. Right now, we're just talking a little bit about emotions and how they influence our life and kind of set the stage for what we're going to be doing the rest of this week. So we were talking a little bit about how negative emotions are something we tend to try and get away from, right? They feel very uncomfortable in the body, right? When we were describing different emotions earlier, what they feel like: tight, heavy, closed off, right? Those are not enjoyable experiences. We like feeling light, open, excited, motivated, energized, right? So the goal, though, is to understand that no matter what emotion you are experiencing, there's going to be power in how you learn to manage it. And by manage, sorry, I'm trying to decide. This is the topic for tomorrow, and I'm like wanting to jump into it. So I'm going to seed it just a little bit. We tend to think we need to control our emotions, right? That they're like this wild animal that's going to go off at any moment. And we've got to learn to get the harness on and keep it in this right space. Okay. What we're actually going to be learning, though, is it's not control in the way we think. It's more an allowance, an ability to accept what emotion is coming up, to quit viewing it as bad or wrong or resisting it or saying, this is not a good thing for me to be feeling. Let's go back a little bit to the example of the job loss when we were walking through it, and how you can have a certain thought and think, okay, circumstance, I lost a job. I can think this is a good thing or a bad thing. And that causes a bad emotion or a good emotion, right? Most of us, when we hear a situation like this, we go, oh, this is the wrong way to be feeling. I need to be choosing to feel this, right? I just need to change my thoughts and then I'll have a different experience and it'll be great. What if neither one of these was right or wrong? What if there are just two different experiences you could have? And what if you could walk through both of those experiences and feel the end goal ends up, the best way I can describe it is it's like there's this essence of you. You have this core, it's solid, it's firm, and what's around you is this cloud of emotion. And it's just a cloud. And sometimes that cloud is a big white fluffy one, and sometimes it's a rain cloud, but it's not you. You are just going about your day. And just like the weather, and some days it's sunny outside and you choose to dress in a tank top and you still go throughout your day, it's that similar experience of it's not right or wrong, it's just rain or sunshine. And if we had only sunny days, we would be in a desert and it would be hot and it would be miserable and we would die because we would not have water and that would be bad, right? But if we lived in a place where we only had rain clouds, right, and we never had any sun, plants couldn't grow, we wouldn't get enough light, it would be bad. It's the balance between the two that really allows us to thrive. One or the other, that's when we start to shrivel up. That's when we start to die. Too much sun, too much water, not a good thing. I always kill my houseplants, and it's usually because of one of these reasons, right? Same thing with us, though. And so learning how can I start viewing my emotions in more of this neutral state? How can I come to understand which cloud I'm in? And, you know, what does it look like to wear an umbrella and wear a rain jacket and bring an umbrella? What does it look like to put on shorts and a tank top, right? That's the control piece, is how we're choosing to show up in whatever weather is going on. And that's the piece of what we're going to be talking about throughout the whole rest of this challenge, is how do we navigate those different storms? So the last thing I want to do here while we wrap up is I'm going to be posting in the group a couple of journal prompts for you to reflect on before our call tomorrow. But I want to give them to you right now so you can start thinking on them as well. And we'll use the last few minutes here that you can start answering those. And so the questions I want you to ask are, what are the stories, thoughts, and beliefs I have around emotion? We talked about some of these, you know, there are good emotions, there are bad emotions, emotions I should embrace. Emotion is bad. There are certain circumstances where I should feel emotion, places I shouldn't, that type of thing. What are your stories and beliefs about emotion? The second question is, I wanted to make sure I got the right one. Okay, the second question is going to be, how good am I at recognizing emotions in myself? So that can be, we did our little exercise on how many emotions can you list, and describing them. What does the sensation in your body feel like? Feel free, if you miss those exercises, go through and do that. It's a really interesting one to see. And start practicing between now and our call tomorrow. Just become the observer of your emotions. Observe, oh, hey, I'm feeling something. What would I identify that as? What does it feel like in my body? Start paying attention. And then the last question is the first one we started this call with, which was, what is my intention? What is my goal? Why am I signed up for this challenge? What am I hoping to get out of it at the end of the 5 days? And then head to the Facebook group and go ahead and share those with us there. And then I will see you all tomorrow. Our call tomorrow is at 4:00 Mountain Standard Time, so it'll be in the afternoon. And I look forward to seeing you all then. Have a wonderful rest of the day.